Right then, we have our stage. But of course what we want to do is we want to put a number of objects onto our stage. And if we just flip back to the game, in fact what we need is a bat, or a paddle I think they do call it a paddle in Breakout, a ball which is bouncing around, and then we're going to need lots and lots of coloured blocks. We're going to have green blocks, yellow blocks, orange blocks and red blocks. And I'm just going to break off from that for a moment. So ultimately there's sort of three things that I need to create. Just one of those things will appear in different colours. So each of those things that are going to appear on our stage are going to be known as sprites. Sprites is another word for graphic. Okay, so when it comes to sprites, you have options. You can either choose a sprite from the library, and if we quickly pop off to the library, you can see there are lots of bits and bobs there. If I go to things, by the way, I begin to get some inbuilt graphics that are available that kind of might be useful for Breakout, but nothing really looks like a paddle. If I just scroll down, magic wand's a bit close, but nothing kind of perfect. And they look like buttons rather than blocks. I might use one of the inbuilt balls, I think, just for fun when we make the actual ball itself, but not really useful for me there. I'm going to be using this paint new sprite icon in a moment. That's how we're going to do it. But I could, if I wanted to, I could go into Fireworks or Photoshop and make something there, and then I could import them by uploading them from a saved file. And finally, of course, I could take a sprite from the camera, but what am I going to do? Hold up a Lego brick or something like that? So that'd just be a bit stupid, to be honest with you. So no, we're not going to do that. We just want to make a simple, well, go back to the game, it's like a long blue rectangle. So we're going to paint a new sprite, and we have a rectangle here. I've already done this video and made a mistake, so I have to do it again. I do that an awful lot. You have no idea how many hours it takes to get a decent set of videos together. Anyway, I've already magically selected this colour blue, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw. Now before I start drawing, can you just about make out there's a little crosshair there, and that signifies the sort of middle of the drawing area. And I find that it's kind of important to make sure that if you're going to paint an object to go into your game, kind of make sure that the middle of whatever object you're drawing is roughly on there. So when I draw my paddle, I'm going to do something, actually a bit like that. I think it might be a little bit off center. Doesn't really matter too much. You'll notice that nothing appears to have happened on the stage. You're thinking, well, I've drawn it, why is it not there? And you click away and you think, well, it's not doing anything. I find that a little bit frustrating, but I do know that if I just happen to click on this tab marked scripts, magically it appears up there. So I'm going to put it down here. Now, a couple of little pointers. First of all, by default, when you create a sprite, it will call it Sprite 1. It's not a good idea to have all the objects in your game called like Sprite 1, Sprite 2, Sprite 3. It becomes very difficult to then, when you're creating different bits of scripts that we're going to look at in a moment, it becomes a bit messy if you don't rename them. So to rename them, you can just click on the eye, it looks like an information sign, and then you can just call it something sensible. So in my case, I'm going to use paddle. Don't worry about all of these. We're not going to be too concerned about that. We're not at all concerned about that in this particular set of videos. So it's now called paddle. So my paddle is a bit small. Maybe it's a bit big. Depends how hard you want to make your game. But I do know that up here, if the object that you've drawn is a bit big, you can click on the shrink button, and if you've got to be accurate now, you can start to... Oh, it's not working. I must have been not very accurate. Let's try again. Doesn't want to work. That's intriguing. It certainly should do. Oh, okay, we'll start with the grow button, and then we'll head back to the shrink button. Perhaps I drew it a bit thin. Either way, you can see that grow and shrink make your graphics bigger or smaller. up to you. You decide on how you want to, what size you want to make it. Now, it's time to look at this scripts. And I'm just going to kind of flip through these. You can see that when you click on the different ones, lots and lots of, by the way, blocks, we'll come to that one later on. But as you start clicking on this, lots and lots of different options become available, except for the sort of 2 at the bottom. It's mainly these sort of top 8. And these are, if you look, you can see they're kind of like jigsaw blocks that you can kind of glue in together. They sort of stick together, and you can also drop things inside boxes like that. And then you could drop you can even drop stuff inside there. I'm trying to think of something I can drop in now. Let's go to sensing, and I can take the mouse X position. Oh, that's supposed to go inside there. You tend to find when you're gluing things together, you've got to see that white highlight, and then it will go in there, and then you can glue that one in there. So they're kind of just like little jigsaw pieces that you can glue in. Now this, of course, is just complete gibberish. I've just randomly dragged some things on. If you want to remove something, you just drop it back in there, and it doesn't matter what you selected. They just pop it back into the middle, and it goes bye-bye. So let's go back to this one, events. It's normally the default one when you create a new sprite, and the reason being is that 99 times out of 100, that's a bit of exaggeration, most of the time the 2 commands that you will start a block of scripts running with are either going to be when the green flag is clicked or when space key is pressed. The green flag relates to this thing here, and when you want to start playing your game, that's what you do to start the game running. So if you've got any objects, like flying objects running around or balls bouncing around the screen, this is breakout, when the green flag is clicked, you would expect to see that ball start moving. When the space key is pressed, well, actually, lots of different options, and you can see you've got all the letters and numbers, and you even have the up, down, right, left, and space. Now, I've got to give you a little bit of a lesson. Now, can you see here? X and Y. Now I get my cursor roughly to the middle of the screen. Do you know, I'm really annoyed because in my last video I did that like that, and it went to X and Y 0 0 that point straight away, and I was really chuffed with myself. It took me a few seconds to get it right there. The whole point is, if you know your maths, we've got an X-axis and a Y-axis. This is the X-axis. This is the Y-axis. So if an object wants to move left to right, you're going to be changing the X value, and if an object is going to move up and down, you're going to be changing the Y value. So for example here, what I could do is I could say when the, I don't know, let's go with when the S key is pressed, we would in motion change X by 10. And now if I press S on my keyboard, look, it goes right. Vice versa of that, I want to go the other way. It's quite a nice touch. You can just duplicate, and we say not the A, we want the A key, and we change X by, I'm waiting for you to shout out. Put your hand up. A little bit stupid. If you're doing that now, you're going to look a bit stupid, aren't you, really? You might know the answer, but I'm not in the room. I'm in a house in Herne Bay in Kent, and that's really irrelevant. But hopefully you're all shouting out, putting up your hands, say -10, because you would have been right. I'm now pressing the A key, and it moves left, and it moves right. But let's go back to here. Now in this one, kind of different. Look, it's following my, there we go. It's following my, I'll stop from it. I was so excited about playing the game, I completely forgot how to explain anything. Oh, damn. Basically what happens is the paddle follows the cursor. Not up, just only follows it on the left and right. As my mouse moves to a certain X position on the screen, the cursor follows it. So wherever my mouse is, the cursor will follow. Now, and it does it all the time. You see, the thing is, the way these videos are going to work is I am not going to do everything for you. I'm going to give you big hints as to how things work, but I'll show you some of the blocks that you need, but I'm going to basically now set little tasks to do, and then if you can't solve it, the next video will show you quickly how to solve it, and then the video after that will be your next task. So what we want to do is we want to say, as soon as the green flag is clicked, we want this object, this paddle, to pick up the X position of the mouse and then set its X coordinate to be exactly the same. So in other words, we're going to set the X value to whatever the X value of the mouse cursor is. Now, I'll give you some clues. Nice easy start for you. You're going to need to set this one, set X2, but not naught. We need to drag in something there that will pick up the position of the mouse cursor. Now, using a bit of common sense, you can look at the names of these blocks. Which one of those blocks do you think will be able to detect, that's a key word there, detect the position of the mouse cursor? Now, no shouting out, because once again, I'm not there. You'd look a bit stupid. But if you would have shouted out, it's the sensing block, sir, the sensing script, sir, you would have been right, because in sensing, we're able to have the command mouse X. Now I'm going to give you another little clue. You are going to make this happen in a moment. You've got to glue the things together. But if I did just this one command once, what would happen is that it would just do it once wherever the cursor was. And in fact, actually, look, I'll show you what happens. Let's do that. I'll press the green flag. And look, it appears there because that was the X position of my cursor, and I will now move it over here. And there we go, and I press it, and oh. And then I press it again, and oh, it's the same place. And it doesn't move, because it only does that command once. You need to do it more than once. You need to do it constantly, all the time, forever. And that's the clue I'm going to give you. Forever. You are going to have to go searching for forever. I'm not going to tell you where it is. I'll show you in the next video if you need some help.